The gavel comes crashing down on the wood. Quiet. And for the very first time, the Brown family isn't on television reality, on trial. What started out as a murmur of betrayal and vows broken is now a war in the courtroom where secrets no one imagined would be revealed are on the verge of blowing. If you think Sister Wives is all about family, just wait until you see what happens when family becomes a survival of the fittest. And by the way, hang in there because you're going to want to decide for yourself whose side you're actually on. Comment below because this one is personal. Our imagination's camera sweeps across the crowded courtroom. Wooden pews groan under the load of observers. Reporters hold notebooks, and the Browns, Kody, Christine, Janelle, Meri, and Robyn, occupy opposite sides. No longer under one roof, no longer under love. Christine leans forward, eyes glinting, a folder held so tightly her knuckles go white. Next to her, Janelle mutters something under her breath, her own placid face a front for the tempest raging behind her eyes. Across from them, Robyn wipes at her cheeks with a tissue, her own face already flushed from crying. And Kody, he doesn't glance at either of them. He looks straight ahead at the judge, his jaw clenched, as if he is aware this fight is not just over property, custody, and money. It's about loyalty. It's about betrayal. It's about truth. When family breaks apart, it's not only love that is broken, it's trust, and once broken, the shards cut deeper than anyone imagines. The judge clears his throat. Case number 1124. Christine Brown versus Kody Brown. Gasps echo through the benches. Though the headlines foretold this moment, hearing it spoken makes it tangible. Christine rises. She does not wait for her attorney to talk. Her tone is firm, but in the background shudders decades of silence. Your Honor, this isn't divorce. This is about manipulation, lying, and the health of our children. For too long, I was silenced. Today, I won't. The courtroom leans forward. Robyn's head works furiously, forming words only Kody can see. He doesn't blink. Janelle fidgets in her chair, gnawing on the inside of her lip, conflicted between relief and terror. She knows Christine is courageous to speak what the others won't, but she knows Christine just ignited the spark. There are four walls in every courtroom, but when secrets begin ricocheting against them, walls aren't enough to keep up the destruction. Christine's attorney stands at last, a skeletal man with keen glasses. Your Honor, we will demonstrate that Mr. Brown forged legal and financial records, compromised the safety of this family, and behaved in ways no partner, husband, or otherwise ought to behave. Kody's attorney, a woman wearing a sharp navy suit, stands too. Objection already. This is a case for dissolution of marriage and division of property. We are not here to have a character assassination. The judge holds up his hand. Counsel, both of you will be heard. But let me remind you, facts only, not emotion. But feeling already overflows the room. Robyn releases a soft cry and Meri grasps her hand. For the first time in years, Meri is not standing beside Christine. She stands beside Robyn.
And that betrayal hurts more than the cold air of the courtroom. Christine sees. Her lips compress into a fine line, and for an instant, she almost stumbles. But she catches herself, for she knows what she has brought today will make all the difference. She takes a single page from the evidence folder clutched in her hand. She doesn't give it to her lawyer. She doesn't give it to her lawyer. She doesn't wait for protocol.
She holds it aloft, so everyone in the courtroom can see. Kody transferred property that was never his to start with. He did it behind our backs. And I have proof. The courtroom explodes. The judge thunders the gavel, yelling for order. Kody at last glances at Christine, his face filled with rage, but under it, a flash of fear. Sometimes the most deadly weapon in a courtroom isn't a confession. It's one piece of paper. The judge narrows his gaze. Mrs. Brown, you'll have your chance to present evidence properly. Sit down. But the damage is done. Reporters scribble like mad. Janelle looks at Christine in awe, while Robyn clutches Kody's arm, whispering, "Tell me it's not true." Kody doesn't answer. His silence is louder than words. Christine sits slowly, shaking hands. For the first time, the scales have tipped. The courtroom senses it, and so does Kody. The judge leans forward. Very well. We will recess for 30 minutes. When we return, both sides will start opening statements. The gavel rings out again, but nobody gets up. Everyone is suspended in the tension that now weighs heavier than ever. As Christine closes her folder, she doesn't see Robyn glaring at her with fire in her eyes. Robyn isn't sad. She's scheming. And when court reconvenes, her voice could be the one that turns everything around. What happens when the wife who swore it all on the Bible finally decides to flip the script? And before we get into session 2, answer me in the comments. If you were sitting in that courtroom, whose side would you be on? The courtroom comes back into session with an energy so dense it feels as if the air itself has mass. People slowly slide back into the benches, whispers pass mouth to mouth, and cameras outside the doors click as reporters wait for the next blockbuster revelation. Because what began as a divorce case has now become something much larger, a spectacle, and sitting at its center is Kody Brown, arms crossed, chin high, his face set but his leg, gan, set but his leg, gals, crossed, chin high, his face set but his leg, gensitive leg, gave thrum, unspectacle, and sitting at its center is Kody Brown, arms crossed, chin high. He could contain. Opposite him, Christine sits straighter than before, the folder of documents pressed into her chest like armor, and Janelle gives her a small nod as if to say, "Carry on, we're in this together," while Meri inched forward toward Robyn, whispering reassurance, but her eyes dart back to Kody with uncertainty as if even she isn't entirely certain what's real anymore. The bailiff calls the courtroom to order and the judge slips back in, entirely certain what's back in. A judge slips back in, 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 a order and the judge slips back in, a judge slips back in, a order and the judge slips back in, a door the courtroom to order and the judge slips back in, a door. They've Kody with uncertainty and judge slips back in, a judge slips back in, a door to them judge slips back. Opening statements, he says, and Christine's lawyer stands first, his voice calm but assertive as he steps slowly in front of the jury box. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to hear isn't just the tale of a marriage coming undone. It's the tale of a family coached into silence, financial fraud executed in secret, and the painful truth of trust broken at its deepest roots. We will show you documents, testimony, and evidence deepest roots. We will show you documents, testimony, and evidence. Children into his sole discretion, leaving them in danger, voiceless, and betrayed. This case is not about revenge, it's about truth." The lawyer's words linger in the air, and the jurors share quick glances, Christine's heart racing as she listens, because each sentence he utters is something she's carried around for years. Silence cracking open at last, then the turn is Kody's lawyer. She stands with confidence, her navy suit crisp, her voice crisp. Her voice, crisp. Her voice, a dramatization intended to sully my client's name. Christine Brown is not the victim here. She is the author of her own unhappiness, and now that she has decided to leave, she seeks to burn it all behind her. Mr. Brown did not manipulate, did not deceive. What he did was seek to hold together a complicated family under pressure, and now he is being punished for it. Robyn nods fiercely at the words, tears.
Each word that is spoken in this courtroom is not just heard, it's considered, and one can turn the scale of belief around completely. The judge
Gestures to the first witness, and to Janelle's surprise, it's not Christine, it's Janelle. Christine stares at her with wide eyes, bewildered, but Janelle gives her hand a squeeze before walking up to the stand, taking her oath and sitting straight, her composed presence filling the room. Kody's attorney starts. "Mrs. Brown, can you tell us about your husband's role in managing the family finances?" Janelle's expression is even, but her tone is firm. "Kody was in charge of most of it. Yeah, he told us it would be simpler if one person was responsible for the money, but it kept us in the dark more often than not. I'd ask where money went and never got satisfactory answers." Kody bristles, his jaw clenching, and his attorney cuts in. "But isn't it true you left him in that position voluntarily?" Janelle pauses, her gaze darting quickly to Christine, then to the lawyer again. "Initially, yes, I did trust him, but after a while the trust was not felt earned, felt demanded. There is a murmur in the room, and Christine clutches the table, thankfulness in her eyes, because what Janelle has just done is affirm her version without actually using the word deception. Kody's lawyer attempts to gain background. Isn't it that you two-tune background? Isn't it that you two-tune background? Isn't it that you two-tune me world? That your family was taken care of. Janelle pauses. Taken care of is one way to say it, but being taken care of does not equate with being respected. The jury shifts uncomfortably under the heaviness of that remark. Kody bangs his hand on the table in a burst of uncontrollable passion. This is absurd. He barks out, and the judge's gavel comes down sharply in the silence. Mr. Brown, one more tantrum and I will hold you in contempt. Kody leans back, his face flushed, and Christine can't suppress the flicker of a bitter smile. When there are fireworks in the courtroom, they are not just sound, verbal confession. The questioning goes on, and Janelle contributes more. Times when money went missing, times when a decision was made without reason, times when Kody reminded them that as head of the family his word was final, and by the time she sits down, the jurors have beheld a glimpse of weakness in Kody's armor. Robyn suddenly inclines to whisper in his ear. Her face chalky, Christine's attorney stands. The plaintiff calls Christine Brown. The momentif 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 calls Christine Brown. Takes the oath and sits, her hands clasped tightly together to prevent them from trembling. Her attorney starts softly. Mrs. Brown, in your own words, why are we here today? Christine's eyes shine, but her voice is adamant. Because for all those years, I thought silence was strength. I thought maintaining peace in the family meant biting your tongue, but silence only empowered Kody. He made decisions that put us at risk. And when I finally spoke to him, I was accused of being disloyal. Today I'm here because I'm not going to let my children, or any of us, be silenced any longer. The room is mesmerized, even the judge Udrin. The room is mesmerized, even the judge Udrin, the judges. The room is mesmerized, even the judges that put us any longer. The room is mesmerized, even the judges any longer. The room is mesmerized, even the judges them wanting on judges, even the judges loyal. Today launched out to her folder and holds the paper aloft once more. This is a deed transfer. Land that was to be in trust for our whole family, signed into Kody's name alone without us. Kody's attorney stands. Objections. Your Honor, this is drama. But the judge shakes his head. Overruled. Go on. Christine places the paper in the bailiff's hand, who presents it to the judge. Whispers ripple through the gallery. Reporters scribbling angrily. Reporters scribbling angrily. Reporters scribbling angrily. Reporters scribbling angrily through the gallery. Reporters scribbling angrily. Reporters scribbling angrilos. Reporters scribbling angrilos. Scribbling angrilo. But through dim shakes his head, the judge whispered both. Each one moving security away from us and into his hands. Robyn suddenly cries, standing, that's not true. He did it to protect us, to keep us safe. Her voice cracks. The judge slams the gavel. Mrs. Brown, sit down or you'll be removed. Robyn sits, sobbing into her hands, and Meri rubs her back, but her own face looks torn, because deep down, she remembers moments that align with Christine's story, and she doesn't want to admit it. Oftentimes, the truth doesn't require judgment. It just requires the bravery of someone who will finally speak it out loud. Kody's attorney cross-examines, attempting to portray Christine as bitter, as scorned. Why didn't she say something years ago? Christine answers, voice shaking but firm, because I wanted to believe in him. I wanted to believe he cherished us. But when love is used like a leash, silence is survival. Even the jurors shift uncomfortably at the starkness of her words. Kody hunches forward, eyes blazing holes through her. You're twisting 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 ends forward. You're twisting ends. Or twisting ends forward. Eyes blazing holes through her. You're twisting as forward. You're twisting as forward. You're twist. The judge thunders again. Mr. Brown. Christine stares at him, her voice almost a whisper. No, Kody, you destroyed yourself. The silence that follows that line is like an earthquake contained behind four walls, and for an instant even the judge is silent. Then at last he calls for a recess until the morning, gavel banging, room bursting into noise, reporters spilling out, Robyn dissolving into tears, Kody storming out with his attorney, Christine exhaling, as if she's been 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 Ed storming out with his attorney. Christine exhaling, as if she's been till the morning, gavel banging, a sympathetic squeeze, and Meri staying behind, conflicted, her eyes fixed on Christine with something between guilt and yearning, and as Christine stows her papers away, she sees a folded note tucked under her folder, her brow wrinkles as she picks it up, hands shaking as she reads the words scribbled in hasty handwriting. You don't know the whole story. Tonight. Parking lot. 9 p.m. Her heart stops because the handwriting, it's Meri's. Every courtroom has its secrets, but sometimes the biggest twist doesn't happen on the stand. It happens in the shadows, where whispers turn into weapons. Night comes down heavy over the city, courthouse locked and still, but Christine can't resist the note burning a hole in her purse, her hands shaking as she sits in her car staring at the clock. 8:57 p.m. The light of the streetlights casting the parking lot in long shadows, wondering if this is a trap, a trick, or perhaps the start of a truth greater than anything she laid bare in court today. At last she sees a figure familiar, or last she sees a figure familiar, or last she sees a figure familiar, Court today, at last she sees a figure familiar, a rost, and trick, water familiar, a rap today, at last she sees a figure familiar, eyes zigzagging left and right. It's Meri, and Christine gets out, her voice low and cutting. Why did you leave me that note? Meri hesitates, her breath misty in the chilly night air. Because you don't know everything, Christine. There are things even you haven't uncovered. Christine's chest constricts. What do you mean? Meri looks over her shoulder nervously. Kody wasn't just relocating property for himself. He was arranging for something with Robyn, something legal, something permanent, and if the court doesn't recognize it, you'll lose everything. Christine shakes her head in astonishment. Then why are you sharing this with me? You're on his side, Meri's voice breaks. I was, because I felt loyalty meant survival, but seeing today, I understood loyalty doesn't mean blindness, and if Robyn gets what she wants, none of us will have anything. Christine examines her face, looking for honesty, and for the first time in years she sees the old Meri, torn, isolated, but not cruel. Christine's voice breaks. What is it, Meri? Tell me. Meri hands her a small creased envelope. This is a copy of a trust agreement, one Robyn talked Kody into signing. It may Kody into signing. It may Robyn talked 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 Kody into signing. It may recant Kody of stance. One Robyn talked Kody of into signing. About this, it changes everything. Christine's hands tremble as she takes it, gaping at the paper like it's fire in her hands. Why didn't you bring this to court? Meri glances away, her tears glistening, because if I testify, Robyn will kill me. She has something on me, things I can't allow to get out. Christine gasps for air. What things? Meri's eyes flash with pain. Things I can't say yet, but you'll understand soon enough. She pulls away, hastily disappearing into the darkness, leaving Christine standing alone with the envelope, and for a moment Christine feels the sting of betrayal and salvation both, because the woman who left her stranded in the courtroom has perhaps just rescued her case. Other times the friend that you least expect gives you the only courage to give you the key. The next morning the courthouse buzzes louder than ever, reporters swarming the steps, cameras flashing, rumors spreading that Christine's evidence had rattled Kody to his core. Inside, the tension is electric as the judge takes his seat. Christine sits down with Janelle by her side, her purse heavy with Meri's envelope, while across the room Robyn clings to Kody's arm like she's holding onto a sinking ship, whispering frantically in his ear. Christine with a glare that could pierce stone. The bailiff calls the room to order and Christine's lawyer announces, Your Honor, the plaintiff would like to submit additional evidence. Kody's lawyer immediately objects. We had disclosure deadlines. This is improper. The judge narrows his eyes, approached the bench. Both lawyers step forward. Their voice is low but heated, and after a tense moment the judge returns, "I'll allow it," but tense moment the judge returns, "I'll allow it," but trud returns, "I'll allow it," but trud returns, "I'll allow it," but trud returns. Lawyer pulls out the envelope, handing it to the bailiff who delivers it to the judge. The courtroom hushes as he reads, his brows knitting together. Christine watches Robyn closely and sees her face blanch, her lips parting in shock before she quickly masks it with anger. She squeezes Kody's arms so hard his knuckles whiten. Christine knows in that instant Meri was telling the truth. The judge looks up. "Counselor, this document appears to trans looks up. Counselor, this document appears to tran 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 appears to trans jazz." Lawyer pulls document appears to trans. Christine watches Wavin Muskins to trans. Post up the there. Chris document appears to trans to none. Minister solely managed by Mrs. Robyn Brown. Is that correct? Kody's attorney stuttered. "Your Honor, this is being taken out of context. Mr. Brown acted in accordance with legal counsel to shield his family, but the judge cuts him off, protect them, by taking their access." Murmurs circulate through the gallery. Christine can feel her pulse pounding. Robyn leaps to her feet, sobbing uncontrollably. "You don't understand. He did it for me. I was the only one who really stuck with him. The others walked away from him. They deserted him. And if he gave me authority, it was because he knew I would not abandon him." Her voice breaks into sobs, melodramatic and raw, but Christine observes the jury exchange disbelieving glances, her performance too pitiful, too overacted, and Janelle turns to Christine in a whisper. "She's losing them. Kody bangs his had, Kody bangs his had, Kody bangs his had. I don't owe any of you an explanation." The judge raps his gavel. "Mr. Undefined Brown, calm down." Undefined Kody's eyes flash, his voice low but distinct. "You think you can judge me in this courtroom? Undefined, you think these people get what it takes to bear the burden I've borne?" The jury gawks, some in amazement, others in disgust. Christine sits and sees years of domination come crumbling before her, because Kody isn't talking like a victim. He's talking as a man trapped. Undefined. When pride gives way to desperation, the facade breaks, and at last, the truth seeps through. Undefined Christine's attorney pounces. "Mr. Undefined Brown, you acknowledge then, you deliberately transferred assets to cover only yourself and Mrs. Robyn Brown?" Kody glares. "I did what I had to do. They were all disloyal." Christine walked away. "Janelle questioned me. Meri betrayed me. Only Robyn stayed." Gasps fill the courtroom, the confession heavy in the air. Robyn covers her mouth, her tears less believable now as a fear creeps into her eyes. Christine's lawyer continues, "So, in your own words, you punished the wives who disagreed with you by taking away their security." Kody attempts to backpedal. "No, but the harm is done." Jurors' faces set. Judge writes notes. Christine's attorney takes a step back, pleased. Christine senses stinging tears in her eyes, because for the first time, Kody has shown everybody the man she lived with locked away, the man who insisted on loyalty as payment. Robyn attempts to recuperate, her voice shrill. "He only did it because he loves me, because I stood with him, because I stood with him, it stood with him, it is I stood with him, because I stood with him, it stood with him, it locked away, because I stood with him, it only insisted on loyalty than han." Loyalty. Her plea resounds but rings empty. The jurors unresponsive. The judge clears his throat. "Court will break for lunch. We resume at 1. The gavel bangs and pandemonium breaks out, reporters pouring into the hall, microphones pressed into faces. Christine glides out unnoticed with Janelle, her purse still clasped tightly. Meri stands in the doorway of the hallway, eyes flicking nervously. Christine meets her eyes, mouthing "Worway," eyes flicking nervously. Christine meets her eyes, mouthing "Worway," eyes flicking nervously. Christine meets her eyes, mouthing "Worway," eyes flicking nervously. Christine meets her eyes, mouthing Christine meets her eyes, mouthing "Worway," eyes flicking. Crowd. Christine's heart hurts, knowing Meri is still locked in fear, but thankful for the risk she took. On the street outside the courthouse, air is abuzz with headlines already spinning. Kody confesses to favoring Robyn. Secret trust agreement unveiled. Christine's evidence sweeps case. Christine's evidence sweeps case. Christine stands against the wall, eyes closed, and for a fleeting moment she feels the burden of years lifting, but she also knows this is far 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 false far 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 had promised something, and Christine has learned enough to know those promises translate to danger. With each truth that is unveiled, another shadow emerges in its wake, darker and ready to bite. Beneath, during a lunch break, Robyn ambushes Kody down a deserted hallway, her tone cold. "You weren't supposed to say that. Now they're going to take everything from us." Kody massages his temples, stalking back and forth. "I didn't mean to. They pushed me. Robyn grasps his arm, her eyes manic. "No, listen to me. If they make Meri testify, if that paper becomes the focal point, we're done. You need to make it right. 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 You need to make it right." And how do you propose I do that? Robin's voice lowers to a whisper. "Then we ensure Meri never gets an opportunity." Kody goes still, his eyes expanding. "What are you talking about?" Robyn glances away, her lips clench thin. "I'm saying desperate times call for desperate measures." Kody takes a step back, appalled. "I won't hurt her." Robin's voice rises. "You already have, all of you, but if you don't protect us now, everything we've worked for is lost." Their argument trails into silence, but the intent hangs in the air like poison, and just outside the hallway, unseen by them, Meri stands motionless. Her Robyn will kill her, not just in court, but in life, and for the first time Meri realizes that silence will no longer save her. She must decide, loyalty or survival. When betrayal turns to danger, silence no longer exists. It becomes the most lethal decision of all. The courthouse is chillier on the third day of testimony, the type of cold that seeps into bone and refuses to leave regardless of how hard you cross your arms. The crowd of press outside the building is bigger than ever, flashbulbs popping, microphones waving wildly, reporters yelling questions, and inside the walls are abuzz with whispers about yesterday's bombshells. Christine sits at her table, Janelle next to her, both women silent but there, both women silent but there, both women silent but there, both women silent there, both women silent there, both women silent there, both women silent there. Before her testimony, but there the building is big courthouse bells whispers up there, both women silent there, Janelle there, the Janelle there. Exhaustion and fear, but also hope, because finally the jury has begun to notice cracks in Kody's facade, but Christine knows this is hardly over. Her eyes keep drifting to Meri across the room, who sits by herself, shoulders forward, her darting glances alternately looking for escape and avoiding Robyn's piercing stare. The memory of that conversation in the hall still burning in Meri's mind. Robyn's words about ensuring Meri never gets Meri never gets got ensuring Meri never gets Robyn's words about ensuring Meri never gets wills. Pressure of danger bearing down on her chest like a hand that refuses to lift. The bailiff calls for order and the judge comes in, his gavel silencing the buzz. "We will continue testimony," he says, and the next witness is called. Meri Brown. The room gasps, Christine's breath catches, Janelle tenses, Robyn's eyes go wide with rage and fear, and Kody slams his hand onto the table before his attorney claps a hand over his arm to attorney claps a hand over his arm to attorney claps a hand over his arm to room. Tony claps a hand over his arm to rage and over his arm over his Tony claps a hand over his arm to room down, shaking as she raises them for the oath. Her voice barely more than a whisper as she promises to tell the truth. She takes a seat and gives Robyn a wide berth. Her attorney starts. "Mrs. Brown, do you have any information regarding Mr. Brown's financial transactions?" Undefined. Meri's hard swallow makes her lips gasp apart, the room inclining to listen to her voice. "Yes," she speaks quietly. "I knew. I knew property was transferred, I knew stuff was rearranged, but I didn't realize just how far it reached until recently." Robyn is on her feet. She's lying. Undefined, she's resentful. Undefined, she's resentful. Undefined, the judge slams his gavel. Mrs. Robyn Brown, sit down or you will be taken out. Robyn's attorney grabs her down hastily, muttering harshly in her ear. Meri goes on, tears streaming down vindication. Jurors write furiously in Haitian. Jurors write furiously in. Jurors write furiously, ears write furiously, ears write furiously, ears write. Jurors write furiously in her vindication. Jurors write furiously in loud, hoarsely, but her lawyer remains silent, white as chalk, because the words are too blunt, too condemning. Sometimes truth doesn't let itself in the front door. It blows in like a storm no one can contain. The following slide, a series of bank transfers. Thousands drained into accounts in Robyn's maiden name, secret accounts, offshore, shielded accounts. Christine clutches the table edge. Janelle's lips open in shock. Meri breathes softly, a sound of betrayal beyond speech. The jury appear enraged, their pens pressing harder into notebooks. Kody leans across the table, his face flush, his jaw hanging loose. Those aren't real. They're made up. But the judge cuts him off with a swift gavel blow. One more outburst, Mr. Brown, and you will be removed. Kody slumps back, but the anger emanates from him like heat. Then the coup de grace comes. The sound recording, the crackling voice of Kody himself, unmistakable. If Christine thinks she can fight me, she's wrong. I built this family, I own this family, and I'll crush her before I ever let her win. The courtroom is silent. 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 And courtroom is silent hum for the fallon. A courtroom is silent vort from. A courtroom is fallon. Her belly twists, tears obscure her vision, because hearing his voice say those words aloud feels like a knife slashing open every wound she thought it scabbed over. Jurors gawk, eyes wide, some squirming uncomfortably, others glaring at Kody with naked contempt. Robyn leans toward him, whispering hysterical prayers, but even she appears shattered, realizing the facade is stripped away, the evidence too raw to be denied, too loud to be spun. When the mask does finally break, it doesn't quietly fall apart. It explodes into shards sharp enough to cut down everyone within its grasp. The prosecution is built on this new landslide, their attorney standing firm, voice as hard as steel. This is not property concealment, Your Honor. This is a history of coercion, manipulation, and intentional harm against the very individuals Mr. Brown professed to protect. Christine feels the full weight of the moment bearing down upon her chest, a sense of history turning, because for years she felt silenced, invisible, advanced, invisible, advanced, invisible, adst, invisible, adst, invisible, ad. But the defense isn't finished. Kody himself gets up, his attorney unwilling but unable to hold him back, his voice thundering, "You don't understand. That was out of context. That was me ranting, any man rants. You cannot gauge a life of sacrifice by one recording." He cracks out in desperation, sweat beading on his forehead, but his eyes flicker like a trapped animal. The jury does not relax. Their faces impassive, the judge unmoved, and Christine sees that this is not strength. It's panic masquerading as defiance. Robyn stands again, holding tissues, her tears uncontrollable. "I didn't know about the transfers. I didn't know about those emails. He kept me in the dark. Please, you have to believe me. I was just trying to love my family." Her tears stream like rivers, and some jurors look unsure for a moment, pity fluttering, but Christine knows Robyn too well. She recognizes this as her survival mode, blaming others, portraying herself fuvel 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 my family, portraying herself fuvel my family, portraying herself revival mode, blaming others, portraying herself revival mode. Blade, Mrs. Brown, why is your name attached to those offshore accounts? Can you tell me why you wrote "good, they deserve nothing" in an email to your husband discussing the other wives? Robyn goes cold, her tears stuck in her throat, her face pale, lips quivering. I didn't mean it, she says barely above a whisper, but the words ring false, vacant, and the jury's sympathy disappears, replaced with stern judgment. Desperation will buy sympathy only once, and the truth always gets its revenge. The tension bursts when Kody, not able to hold it in any longer, bangs his hand on the table, stabbing his finger at Christine. You did this. You poisoned them against me. You were never loyal. You were never grateful. Christine stands up, her voice quivering but full of strength. No, Kody, you did this. You broke us. You lied. You betrayed, and you called it love. Her words ring out, raw and shaking, the courtroom abuzz, the judge banging his gavel. Order. Order. But it is too late. The raw truth in mid-air, unvarnished, inescapable. Christine reverts to her seat, sobbing, Janelle tightening her grip on her hand, Meri softly reaching out to touch her arm as well. The three of them together, if only in mutual anguish and defiance, while Kody sits crimson-faced, veins throbbing, a king dethroned before the world. As the session draws to a close, the judge declares deliberation will commence shortly, but one last witness has been summoned, an anonymous whistleblower, their identity protected, testifying by audio, their voice disguised but their words slicing sharp. I worked alongside the Browns' financial advisor. I witnessed documents shuffled. I witnessed orders given to redirect assets. And it was always Robyn and Kody. Always them versus the was always Robyn and Kody. Always them versus the was always them versus the was always them versus the was Albin and Tuesto. The Vesestin verst of those whistleblowers, but Vestuploways Robyn and Kody. Always them versus the was Loblas financialist dust. And it wisdom versus the love wants to fall and keep the rest. In the dark, the voice hesitates, then continues. They didn't simply wish to guard their portion, they wished to eliminate the others altogether. The courtroom gasps, Christine's stomach flips, Meri covers her mouth in horror. Janelle shakes her head slowly, as if hearing confirmation of every suspicion she bore for years. Robyn clutches the table, her crying turning tempestuous. Kody shakes his head wildly, mouthing, traitor, undeothing traitor, undeothing traitor, undeothing traitor, undeothing traitor, undeothing traitor, undeothers dingum, in the other's stomach flips, ganlevo. The other's stomach covers. Robyn clutches the table, others. Kody shakes his head wildly, mouth. When betrayal is from the outside, it hurts, but if it's from the inside, it kills. The judge calls for recess prior to closing arguments tomorrow, the gavel slams, and the room descends into pandemonium. Reporters dashing, cameras clicking, voices yelling, but Christine hears only the beat of her own heart, the sound of the truth ringing in her ears, the weight of years of silence finally shattering. Yet beneath the victory she senses the spark of fear, because cornered animals don't go down quietly, and as she looks over a don't go down quietly, and as she looks over a and she looks over a toe down quietly, and as she looks over a beat of her own heart, the weight of animals don't go down quietly, and as she looks over a deliver, the weight of year, the weight of corner of closing in her own, the fear. She senses the deadliest moves may not be made in the courtroom, but in the shadows beyond its walls. Each trial has a breaking point, and once past, there is no return. Only the day of reckoning. The courthouse hangs heavier than ever as the jurors enter for deliberations, the tension so palpable it's as though the air itself might shatter. Christine sits with her attorney, her stomach knotted up, Janelle calm at her side, Meri white and shaking but firm, the three women taking strength silently from one another, while on the opposite side of the aisle Kody and Robyn look like shadows of men, their whispers panicked, their eyes red, their attorneys erud, their attorneys erud, their attorneys erud, their attorneys erud, their attorneys whispers panicked, their attorneys erud thawed, their attorneys erodis to might hum that the courties red, their attorneys panicked, their whis panicked, their eyes red, their attorneys but their rather look like did on the attorneys of one another, while though for miracles, the judge directs the jury and they disappear into the deliberation room, the door closing behind them with a finality that makes the whole gallery breathe out as one. Christine clutches her hands together, knuckles white, her gaze fixed on the vacant jury box, each second seeming to stretch on forever. Robyn's sobs interrupt the silence. They're going to destroy us. She whimpers to Kody, who shoots her an open look of destroyed, who shoots her an open look of destroyed, who shoots her an open look of destroyed that, who shoots her an open look of destroyed then look of destroyance, who shoots her an open look of destroyed, knuckles white, who shoots her an open look of destroyed look of destroyed with the silent look of destroyed then look of destroyed. Those accounts, his voice venomous but soft, and the words cut deep enough that Robyn visibly recoils. Her crying growing louder, Meri stands across the room, eyes wide with a curious mix of fear and vindication, and Christine thinks cynically that even here, even at the threshold of judgment, Kody is still tearing down the very woman he once declared his favorite. The waiting grinds on, hours tick away. Christine paces the corridor. Jin paces the corridor. Jin paces the corridor. Jin hours tick away. Christine paces the corridor. Jin paces the corridor. Jin Hagestein thinks of the corridor. Even if the commands messaging the corridor. Jin equates and jigward. Christine paces the corridor. Jin equates Meri clutches a small cross pendant, rocking gently as if to stabilize herself. Reporters jam the corridors, cameras poised for the verdict, each creak of the jury room door making hearts jump. But it remains closed, the weight of years of secrets pushing against it. The longest silence isn't the one of quiet, it's the one with anticipation for truth to be heard. And at last, as night falls, the jury sends a note, bailiff hands it to the judge. Judge declares they will be back tomorrow with a verdict. Groans echo through the courtroom, tension dragging on for one more night. Christine breathes shakily, her body worn but fidgety. She picks up her belongings and walks into the cool evening air. But in front of the courthouse, it's still pandemonium. Cameras pop, reporters yell questions. Christine, how do you yell questions? Christine, how do you questions? Christine, how do you reporters yell questions? Christine, how do you yell questions? Christine, how do you warnium? But at quarters one, what a virginity. She picks up her belonging, but in front of the courthouse, it's still pandemonium. Cameras pop, reporters yell questions. Meri, do you regret testifying? Kody, is your family finished? Christine ignores them, focusing only on moving forward, but as she heads toward the waiting car, she catches sight of Robyn and Kody arguing near the steps, their fight so heated they forget the cameras. You told me this would work. Robyn shrieks, you told me they'd never beat us. Kody's face contorts with rage. Shut up, Robyn. You're the reason they even had a case. The crowd gasps, microphones recording each word, reporters hurrying forward. Christine catches a shock of amazement, for their collapse is occurring not in huddles but before the whole world, and it will be repeated over and over, the video of a fallen empire. In her hotel room that evening, Christine lies awake, the city lights flickering softly in the distance, Janelle by the window with a cup of tea, Meri on the couch snuggled up like a child, tears streaming down her face unnoticed. Christine finally speaks. What if the jury believes them? What if this whole thing falls through? Janelle turns, her tired but steady eyes. Then we still did it. Christine, we still spoke the truth, we still stood, and that counts, even if the verdict doesn't. Christine swallows the lump in her throat, nodding, because she knows Janelle is correct, but the idea of losing, of seeing Kody and Robyn go free and smug, is almost too much to bear. Courage is not gauged by winning. It's gauged by the courage to stand even when you are afraid of losing. The courtroom is charged with electricity the following day, everyone tense, the jury finally returning, 12 faces inscrutable, the judge inquiring, has the jury reached a verdict? The foreperson nods, handing a folded paper to the bailiff. Christine's heart races so hard she feels it might break through her ribs. Meri squeezes her arm. Janelle whispers, breathe, and the judge unfolds the paper, his eyes scanning before he begins to read. But before the words leave his lips, a loud crash interrupts. Robyn collapses to the floor, wailing uncontrollably, clutching at Kody's leg. Don't let them do this to us, don't let them do this to us, don't let them do this to us, Courtroom gasps. Kody tries to shake her off, snarling, get up, Robyn, you're embarrassing yourself. But she clings tighter, her sobs rattling through the chamber. The judge slams his gavel, ordering order, but chaos ripples, cameras flash wildly. Christine sits frozen, watching the spectacle of their downfall unfolding live before the verdict is even spoken, and something deep inside her, something wounded for years, feels a small flash, something wounded for years, feels a small flash, feels a small flash, cameras flash, year, something wounded for years, feels a small flash, because no matter what the jury says, the world has already seen the truth. At other times, the verdict precedes the words, which are read, the verdict of the collapse of those who can no longer bear their lies. Order is finally restored, Robyn dragged back to her seat, still crying, Kody seething with hatred, and the judge clears his throat, going on. On the issue of hidden assets, Christine leans forward, each nerve afire, the whole courtroom holding its breath, the moment stretching like the thread of eternity, but the judge is halted mid-sentence, furrowed brow. He glances toward the juror, suddenly grabs her chest, collapsedly grabs her chest, collapsedly grabs her chest, collapsedly grabs her chest, collapsin, he grabs her chest, collapses. Paramedics are summoned, bedlam erupts anew, deliberations delayed, the verdict postponed. Christine feels a nauseating wave of frustration and despair wash over her. As if destiny itself is resolved to stretch this horror out, she slumps back in her chair, tears stinging her eyes, whispering, "How much longer must we struggle?" Janelle clasps her hand, "As long as it takes." Meri speaks shakily, "I don't think I can get through another day." Christine squeezes back. "You already have, Meri, you already have." But her voice cracks, her own strength stretched taut. The courtroom slowly clears out, faces shaken. Christine stands there to watch Kody and Robyn go, faces stormy, once perfect facades shattered to smithereens, and yet their anger remains, alive and explosive, a storm waiting for its final blow before it's ready to subside. Each reckoning pulls the soul to its breaking point, and only those who will not shatter find their way through. The last day breaks gray and agitated, the sky over the courthouse a heavy mass of clouds as if nature is holding its breath for what is to come. Christine wakes early, her chest constricted with anxiety, Janelle already up making coffee in silence, Meri sitting on the edge of the bed looking out the window, her face ashen but her spine straighter now, and when they go into the courthouse together the crowd is bigger than ever. Cameras flashing, report how is bigger than ever. Cameras flashing, report how is bigger than ever. Cameras flashing, report house together the crashing, report how is bigger than ever. Cameras flashing, report house together the courthouse together the courthouse together the crowd is bigger than courthouse together the courthouse. Cameras flashing. Railings desperate to see the conclusion of this long, bitter trial, inside the air vibrates with anticipation. Even though wood benches creak louder beneath the burden of expectation, Christine sits at her table, her hands shaking but her eyes straight ahead, Janelle unflinching beside her, Meri near, and across the room Kody and Robyn arrive, both of them shadowed out, their clothes crisp but their faces hollow. The fire of defiance now cooled to a kiss, now cooled to a cup, fire of defiance now cooled to a cooked, to a cook cooled to a cook cooled to a cook cooled to a cook cooled to a cooked. Eyes red from nights of weeping, the bailiff calls the court to order, the judge enters, and the jury is finally seated again. The foreperson clutching the folded paper as if it holds the destiny of every person in the room, the judge asks, "Has the jury reached a verdict?" The foreperson nods. The courtroom falls so still that even the subtle ticking of the clock becomes deafening. Christine squeezes Janelle's hand, Meri grips her chain, Kody is Janelle's hand, Meri grips her chain, Kody is Janelle's hand, Meri grips her chain, Kody is Janelle's hand, Meri grips her chain, Christine squeezes Janelle's hand, Meri grips her chain, Kody holds, as if an edge, the foreperson nods, Clostilles demeases Janelle's hand, Meri grips tissues already moist, and the verdict is read. On the issue of hidden assets and fraudulent conveyances, we the jury find in favor of Christine Brown, Janelle Brown, and Meri Brown. Gasps reverberate throughout the room. Christine's heart explodes, tears streaming down her face. Janelle gasps hard, her face filling with relief. Meri weeps uncontrollably, clinging to Christine's arm, and across the aisle Robyn falls into the seat, wailing, down, his face flushed with rage. "You fools! You don't understand. Undefined, I built everything. I sacrificed everything." His voice booming until the judge bangs the gavel. "Enough, Mr. Brown. You will show respect to this court or be ejected." Cody's attorney yanks on his arm, but he breaks free. his fury pouring unstemmed. Christine looks at him no longer with fear, but with an odd tranquility, because for the first time she sees him stripped of his dignity, not as the man who once had her life in his hands, but as a desperate man grasping at power, life in his hands, but power, losping at power, losping at power, longer, losping his hands. The fear losping his hands, but as a desperate man grasping his hands, but as a desperate man grasping his, but as a desperate man grasping his power longer. When truth prevails, it doesn't come with glory and trumpets. It comes with tears, silence, and the silence of chains breaking. The jury's ruling goes on. We also find that assets in the trust in the name of Mrs. Robyn Brown must be distributed fairly between the wives. Robyn cries harder, her body shaking. "They're stealing everything from me," she wails, her mascara smearing down her face, but the judge remains unyielding. This court sees the dishonesty and disparity established, and justice requires rectification. Christine closes her eyes, allowing her eyes, allowing her eyes, Christine closes her eyes, allowing just gaslighting unraveling in one declaration, her chest rising and falling with a relief she never thought she'd experience. Beside her, Janelle leans in close and whispers, "It's over, Christine, it's finally over." But Christine shakes her head gently, whispering back, "No, Janelle, it's just beginning. Now we get to live." And in that moment, a small smile breaks through her tears. Robyn makes a final attempt, rising to speak, her voice trembling. "Please, Your Honor, please, I was only following my husband. I didn't hurt anyone, I just wanted love." Her tears ring out achingly, but the judge regards her with a combination of compassion and sternness. "Love is not quantifiable in deceptions, Mrs. Brown. This court cannot go back on the decisions you made." Robyn falls back into her seat, defeated, into her seat, defeated, into her seat, defeated, 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 judge recount the decided, ring out of all the decisions you made. Robyn falls back into her seat, defeated. Robyn falls back, eyes glossy, his empire destroyed. The most difficult truth to accept is not others' verdict, but the truth of what your own hands have created and destroyed. As the courtroom clears, Christine enters the hallway in which cameras flash in wild abandon, reporters calling out questions. "Christine, how do you feel? What's next for the Browns?" She smiles, her attorney pulling her forward, but she turns to him slightly, her voice firm. "I feel free." And the words travel like a wildfire, news already abuzz. Christine senses Meri and Janelle beside her, the three of them moving like a wall of fortitude through the bedlam, and despite the flashes blinding her and the noise deafening her, her heart is lighter than it has been in decades. She whispers, "Quiet is lighter than it has been in decades." She whispers, "Quieter than it has been in decades." She whispers, "Quieter than it has been for." We stood together, and they nod together, tears streaming. That evening in the hotel suite, the two of them sit in silence for what seems like a long time, Christine drinking tea, Meri wrapped up in a blanket, Janelle gazing out at the city lights, none of them saying a word until Christine finally interrupts the silence. "What now?" Janelle responds quietly, "We live. Christine, we finally live." Meri says softly, "But it'll never be the same, will it?" Christine shakes her head. "No, Meri, it won't. But maybe that's the point," and for the first time in years they share a laugh, fragile and small but real, their hearts bruised but beating stronger. It's sometimes freedom doesn't feel like victory, it feels like the quiet after a storm when you can finally hear yourself again. While Kody and Robyn slip back into the darkness, their faces stern, reporters chasing after them, sending answers bitter, Kody snarling at cameras, Robyn behind sunglasses, hiding, their polygamy empire crumbling to scandal and defeat. And although Christine never sees them again that evening, she knows their tale is not dead, that they will still fight, still rage, still attempt to heal, but it no longer matters because their power is frower 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 is frower. Janelle and Meri, the future is no longer measured in Kody's shadow but by their own steps forward. The hurricane is over, the courtroom is shut, but the tale remains in the hearts of all who saw it, for what started as one family's fight turned into a reflection of loyalty, deceit, love, and liberty, and in that reflection each person sees an image of their own decisions, their own complicity, their own decisions, their own complicity, their own bravery. And now I'd like to ask you, if you had been in Christine's position, would you have been strong enough to stand up and fight, or would fear of losing it all have silenced you? Undefined, leave a comment and let me know, because your voice is no less important here than hers was in that courtroom. Her cheeks, Kody told us we needed to trust him, that questioning him was treason, but trust without answers isn't trust at all, it's control. Her voice trembles, but she continues, I was silent for years. I thought silence was loyalty, but silence almost cost all of us everything. I discovered documents. I saw Robyn's name. I knew something was off. Christine feels tears prick at the corners of her eyes, watching Meri Fies, 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 watching Meri Fies.
Kody shoots Meri daggers, his jaw clenching so hard it seems it will break. Robyn mutters furiously to her lawyer, her wild eyes wide with fear, and Christine knows this is it, this is the moment. When the silence finally speaks, it doesn't merely whisper, but roars louder than all the lies that attempted to bury it.
The lawyer pushes Meri softly. Mrs. Brown, do you have evidence of what you're saying? Meri nods, producing a second envelope. Christine's eyes broaden. Meri had withheld more than she indicated. Meri hands it to the bailiff, who forwards it to the judge. The judge examines the documents. His expression set, this is a trust amendment, designating Mrs. Robyn Brown as trustee and beneficiary upon dissolution. Is that correct? Gasps resound, scribbling pens of reporters, Robyn's face paling. Kody punches his fist on the table once more. That's private. That's family business. The judge bangs the gavel. It is evidence now, Mr. Brown. The jury glares, some with sympathy, others with contempt. Christine's attorney stands. Your Honor, this shows the intent wasn't to safeguard the family. It was to gain control and assets for one wife at the expense of the others. Robyn dissolves into tears. It's not like that. It's not. He did it because he loves me, because I never betrayed him, but her told 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 because I never betrayed him, but her told him, but her toes the never betrayed him, but her toes and never betrayed him, but her toes. Jury's eyes turn colder. Kody's attorney attempts to plead. This was strategic estate planning, not stealing, but even her tone rings false. The judge instructs Meri to stand down, and as she departs, Robyn mutters under her breath loud enough for Christine to hear. You'll regret this. Meri winces, her eyes welling with fear. Christine's hand automatically twitches to defend herself. Janelle whispers, she's afraid, and Christy's afraid, and Christy's afraid, and Christy's afraid, and Christy's afraid, and Christine her stand automatically steamed hand autumn Christine to hear, and Christine's hand automatically twitches to defrayed, and Christine to hear, and Christy's please by shattering piece by piece, and in her coming apart she is deadly. The most lethal individual in the courtroom isn't always the defendant. It's the one who has everything to lose. The court is adjourned for a momentary recess. Christine follows Meri out into the hall, taking her aside. You were very courageous, Meri, more courageous than any of us anticipated. Meri trembles, shaking her head. No, I am afraid. Christine, you don't realize, Robyn. She'll do anything. She boasted about it herself. I do not know what she'll do to me now. Christine holds her shoulders. Then you are not alone with her anymore, 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 Tarit. Then you are not alone with her anymore, Jerry South. Then you are not alone with her anymore, Tarit. Christine holds her shoulders. Then you are not alone with her anymore, she both shoulders. One another, no matter what comes next. Mary's eyes well up, caught between relief and fear, and for an instant Christine feels the old sisterhood bond glimmer once more, tentative but real. Then suddenly there is a commotion at the far end of the hall. Robyn is yelling at her lawyer, her voice ringing off the marble walls. You said they'd never track that down. You said you'd do it for me. Kody attempts to placate her, grabbing at her arm, but she pulls away. No, this is your fault, all of this. If you just kept them in line like you were supposed to, we wouldn't be here. Her words echo down the hallway, witnesses and reporters hearing every syllable. Kody stands transfixed, too late realizing that Robyn's tirade is now proof of intent. Christine stands there, shocked, and breathes. She's killing herself. Janelle says under her breath, no, she's killing him too. Because now it's obvious Robyn wasn't a bystander. She was an accomplice. She was inciting it, and Kody, who was once untouchable, is BB fighting it, and Kody, who was once untouchable, is BB, who was once untouchable, is BBB Kody, who was once untouchable, is BB's codiness. Tooting how it's two is killing Hebel is B Kody. When alliances rot from the inside, they don't just crumble, they explode, leaving everyone in the blast. Back in court, the afternoon session is underway, but the mood is altered now, heavier, darker. The jurors' eyes more piercing, the judge more stern. Christine testifies once more, her lawyer guiding her carefully to expound on the effect of Kody's decisions on the children, her voice cracking as she recounts nights of weeping, confusion, terror of losing their homes, the manner in which trust was converted into trauma. She forces herself to herself, to herself, forces herself to herself, forces herself to trauma. She forces herself to herself, to herself, forces herself to rahom, to force herself to weeping, to her in terror of losing their homes. Shift uncomfortably, the heaviness of her pain impossible to deny. Janelle supports her testimony with measured precision, recounting her own physical confusion, the manner in which Kody dismissed her, instructing her to just trust the process, and by the time the two women leave the stand, the case no longer feels like property division but rather a discovery of abuse, insidious but genuine, the kind that devours dignity, others dignity, devours dignity, genuine, the kind that devours dignity, genuine, the kind that devours dignity, and story of abuse, insidious but genuine, the kind that devours dignity, genuine, the kind that devours dignity, his stern face betraying flashes of sympathy. Then the defense, Kody himself standing, his attorney leading him through it gently, attempting to portray him as a man driven mad, a man misunderstood, a husband trying his best under impossible conditions, his voice rising with emotion as he maintains, I did everything for them, I gave my life to them, and now they spit on me. His eyes blaze with self-pity, but the jury appears unmoved, his words ringing hollow against the test, his words ringing hollow against the test, Thestost and hollow against the test, unringing hollow against the test, unringing. His words ringing hollow against the test, undurian hollow against the test, injurious ringing hollow against the test, but Christine sees it. Kody is not convincing them, he is pushing them away, his rage overwhelming his defense. Occasionally truth requires no sword, just a voice not afraid of silence being broken. As the day is coming to a close, the judge declares tomorrow testimony will resume, the gavel comes down, but instead of the normal chatter, the room is quiet, heavy with the feeling that something irrevocable has tilted. Christine collects her papers, Janelle squeezes her hand, and Meri hangs back close as if she is afraid to let them out of her sight. Robyn and Kody hug with their attorney, their faces ashen, their whispers frantic, and critic, and critic, and critic, and critic, and critic, and cricantic, and cricantic, and cricust, and cricantic, and close as the Chinese close. Robyn and Kody hug with their attorney. They've come in close. Robyn and Kody hug with their attorney. Their time, it seems possible, even as peril waits in the shadows to strike before the verdict is in. In each courtroom fight, there's a breaking point, and when it comes, nobody leaves unchanged. The next morning, the courthouse is surrounded by fog. the kind that clings to the earth and swallows sound, and as Christine mounts the courthouse steps, she feels its weight pressing on her chest. As if even the weather senses today will not be generous, reporters are already waiting, shouting questions, the air crackling with camera flashes. Christine keeps her eyes ahead. Her attorney close behind, Janelle beside her, Meri a little behind, still beside her, Meri a little behind, still a Meri a little behind, still a Meri a little behind, still a Meri a little behind, still still this, determined than ever. And inside the courthouse, the vibe feels different, more charged, because everybody knows the tide turned when Robyn broke and when Meri produced those secret documents, but everybody also knows that Kody will not go quietly. He finds fuel in a storm, and today is his opportunity to claw back control. The bailiff calls for order, the judge arrives, and the first witness called is a financial expert. Someone hired by cried, and the first witness called is a financial expert. Someone hired by cried, someone hired by cried falls the body when a storm, and today is his opportunity to claw back control. And in storm, the first witness called is a financial expert. Someone hired by cried calder, the judge arrives, and the first witness called.
Charts and graphs shown.
Numbers explained in simple terms for the jury, the expert's voice even and steady as he details how money was shuffled, how signatures belonging to Robyn showed up in places they never should have, how properties were hidden in trusts that benefited one wife and left the others exposed. Christine watches the jurors' faces, sees their brows furrow, their lips pressed together, and she knows the math speaks louder than any emotion can, because numbers of any emotion can, because numbers any emotion can, because numbers of planos of van, because numbers of planos any others space louder than any emotions exposed, the numbers of the was day. Plaintiff speaks louder than any emotion can, because numbers than one of us speaks louder than any. Illustrate truth. Robyn leans forward, furiously scribbling notes to pass to her attorney. Her lips pressed, Kody shakes his head, muttering lies, all lies, all lies, all lies, loud enough for jurors to hear. But instead of sympathy, it earns him disapproving glances, his theatrics growing old. Truth spoken with cool precision cuts deeper than any scream ever could. The defense frantically scrambles, producing their own expert, a sleek man in a tailored suit who attempts to discredit the papers, claiming they're incomplete, out of context, that Christine's staff is distorting estate planning into something nefarious, but his rehearsed words don't ring true, and the jury looks unconvinced, particularly after Christine's attorney cross-examines him and makes him swear on the stand that such papers can add, such papers can add, that such papers can add, that such papers can add, but such papers can add, papers can add to Christine's. Lingers in the air like smoke, irrevocable. Robyn clenches her hands so tightly they turn white. She mouths something frantic to Kody, and Christine observes even Kody's facade crack for an instant, his face twisting with discomfort. At recess, the corridors hum with conversation. Meri sits alone on a bench, head bowed. Christine and Janelle come up. Christine kneels slightly to look into her eyes. "You did great, Meri. You really did." Meri shakes her head. "I don't know. I can't sleep. I keep hearing her whispering in my head. Robyn, telling me I'll regret this." Christine takes her hand. "She's losing her hold, Meri. That's all threats are. Grip slipping, ads 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 grip slipping, ads are. Grip slipping, ads are. Threats are. Grip slipping, lip slipping, Fast as it comes when she sees Robyn standing across the hall, eyes narrowed, lips curled in a thin sneer, Janelle says, "She's fraying, Christine. The question is how far she'll get." Christine nods because she knows. People most dangerous are those who know they're cornered. When desperation sets in from fear, the distinctions between destruction and strategy start to fade.
Back in court, closing witness statements before the final run, and Christine is summoned again. She stands up slowly, her heart racing but her face composed. Her attorney escorts her. "Christine, what has this fight meant to you?" Her voice quavers but is steadied. It's about truth. It's about revealing that trust without transparency is just control, that love without respect is just power in disguise. It's about ensuring no wife, It's about ensuring no wife, wives. Ensuring no wife, wife.
Words quiver with honesty and tears shine in her eyes. She addresses the jury squarely, not as strangers, but as human beings, and she says, "We gave him our lives, we entrusted him with everything, and he made us think questioning him constituted betrayal. But true loyalty isn't silence, it's accountability." A murmur runs through the throng, and Christine experiences the release of finally stating aloud what she bore for years. Her, over her. Then Robyn stands up, her final opportunity, her attorney's tone soft, encouraging. "Robyn, what do you want this court to know?" She grips tissues in both hands, tears welling immediately. "I want them to understand I never wanted this. I never wanted to be the favorite. I just wanted to be the favorite. I just wanted peace. I just wanted love. And everything I did, everything was to keep this family together when everyone else was ripping it apart. When everyone else was ripping it apart. When everyone else was ripping it apart. Robyn wanted us to stop her. When everyone wanted to be there when everyone else was ripping it apart. Wanted this family together when everyone else was ripping it apart. I just wanted love when everything was apart." Jurors look at her with conflicting emotions, some with sympathy, others with skepticism, because her tears ring too perfectly timed, too staged, Christine observes, her stomach churning, because she knows Robyn is talented. She knows Robyn is able to make people believe in her pain even if it's painted over lies. Christine whispers to Janelle, "This is her weapon, not the documents, not the documents, not the money, this." Janelle nods grimly. Sometimes the keenest knife in a courtroom isn't evidence or a law, it's emotion manipulated at the right moment. The day crawls along. Kody attempts to support Robyn's testimony with his own, his anger now reformed into a portrait of hurt pride. He portrays himself as a betrayed father, an abandoned husband, his voice cracking as he claims, "I attempted to maintain a family of 4, and they punished me for it. They never comprehended how much I sacrificed." Heavy with self-pity, but the issue is the jury has already heard too much. His story 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 has already heard too much. His story, the jury has more manipulation. Christine can sense the room tiring of him, and that alone is a small triumph. But small victories don't eliminate the threat, because all it takes is one juror to find his tears, his fury, his charm credible, and the scales tip again. When the session breaks for the day, Christine emerges into the twilight, the orange glow of the courthouse steps, reporters yelling, cameras popping, but she hardly hears it, her head reeling, her heart weighed down, Meri and Janelle following close behind, the 3 women walking as one through the throng like a single shield, and Christine muttering to herself, "Almost there, almost through," but in her belly she knows, this is far from over. The lolly she knows, this is far from over. The lolly she knows, this is far from over. The lolly she knows, this is far from over. The lolly she knows. Kody and Robyn have more tricks up their sleeves, not by a long shot. All trials have a calm of a storm before the verdict, and in such quietude, the most perilous steps are always taken. The courtroom is filled to capacity on the morning of the verdict stage, the wooden benches creaking under the weight of reporters, fans, and family members who have appeared to witness the culmination of a trial that is less about the property dispute than a public unmasking of secrets. Christine arrives bright and a public unmasking of secrets. Christine arrives bright and early with her attorney, Janelle by her side, calm but firm, and Meri trailing curl that is less about firm, and Meri trailing Meri trailing of fell that are then perfect houses pride, calm the Meri trailing fragile coalition of necessity and survival, their eyes meeting across the room at Kody and Robyn, who sit together whispering furiously, their faces strained, their hands clenched, their world visibly contracting. The judge's gavel rings through the murmur and the session opens, but before the lawyers even open their mouths the judge utters, "New evidence has been presented to this court late last night, and while not common, it has been determined Robyn." Christine's heart skips, Robyn stiffens, her chest clutching. Kody growls at his lawyer, whispering harshly. The bailiff hands the judge a thick folder, who riffles through with stern eyes. This evidence consists of emails, bank transfers, and an audio recording of a phone call, the judge says, and it directly relates to the claims of concealment and manipulation of marital assets. Christine feels the air grow thin around her, palms her, palms prof, palms force in around her, transfer, feels the air grow thin around her, palms of converse, and an audio growth in around her, purpose. And as the courtroom projector hums to life, the first slide appears, emails, dozens of them, the ones between Kody and Robyn, the language unmistakable, will ensure Christine and Janelle never lay eyes on a cent. One reads, another, Meri's too weak to do battle with us. She'll cave when we pressure her. Christine's chest constricts, rage permuting with